ladies and gentlemen. Well, we've got a very special guest in here today, none other than legend Ron Bath from Atlanta, Georgia. Ron, thank you very much for coming in on the show.
My pleasure.
You have been here in Australia on a bit of a whirlwind tour over the last couple of weeks. How's it been?
Whirlwind's understatement.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I mean, traveling, every other day, getting on a flight, heading somewhere else. I have somebody rip my arm off.
Yeah.
It originally didn't start that way, but it's starting to get broke down to a point. Not much competition, but we're getting a hell of a workout.
You've done well. We've ganged up on you very well. I think you got your final session tonight with the Brisbane club. But tell me about the Arnold's Classic. You had two super matches, one with Brett Coots on the left and one with Ryan Scott on the right, and then you did the main draw. How did you go?
First was the right draw with Ryan Scott. Ryan's got he's got a good high top, and he got a good leverage.
Yep.
First one he took off, caught me, I don't know if sleeping or I couldn't hear the ref, but he got the takeoff on me, got me within the pin pad, close enough, and we slipped, so he got the win on that one because I had slipped in a losing position. Then I went the next three, went to my typical awkward, ugly looking slips. But we got the slips at the top, went in the straps, and the straps pretty much were mine. The last one, my third win, Ryan managed to stop me a little bit before the pad and tried to work some stuff. And but I managed to get the win going against Ryan. I won 3-1.
Of course, your right arm is your premier arm, and I think it is of Ryan's as well. What was just other than the specifics of the match, what was your impression of Ryan as an arm wrestler in terms of the world level?
He definitely has making to get to that, up into that area.
Yep.
Working some power, working the straps, so he has more power while in the straps. Because without the straps, he has some of the tools on the initial start. He's fast, tall. He's got a big hand. It's just working those finer points on the power level to catch it up.
For sure. And Brett Coots on the left.
Brett Coots on the left. He got a couple little breaks. Not that he really needed any. We pulled about 20 minutes after my matches with Ryan.
Yep.
And travel. I don't know if I was 100% pulling him, but Brett's left it's beast. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I tried just doing everything straight up, and I think I could have went to a rest grip, maybe loosened his hand up a little bit.
Yeah.
He managed to do just hook and drag and got me to his side table quicker than I could. We fought for a bit, which now my shoulder and my back's really regretting it.
Yeah.
I think we agreed to go best out of 3. Then he beat me 2-0. And the second pull, he actually had to work a lot harder. So I'm almost wondering if I maybe would have stayed to the best out of 5, if I could have maybe took a little bit of gas out of that big bicep. But no, there's nothing taken away from his hook. It's Mecca.
His hook has been dominant in the Australian scene since the beginning of the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation, and I remember we actually had a phone conversation. You and we talked about Brett Coots, and I remember you said you might even be willing to go into a hook with him. And I think I remember saying to you, that'd be a ballsy move. But now having felt him, that hook. I've never actually seen his left hook be pinned in a hook. So
I'm not saying I couldn't beat him in a hook in a different situation. I definitely didn't have it Saturday.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's different variables, but that's the nature of the game, nature of the beast.
Yeah.
I could say I was going to take him up top early. I didn't even get the chance to do it, so he managed to cut in on me real quick. I would have had to go to a rest grip, and then maybe bail out and go into the straps and try to put a lot of back on with the straps on.
And same question, Ron, in relation to Brett, on your opinion of his sort of ability and level on the world scale.
There again, he has the abilities to get up into that reign, up in there somewhere. He's going to have to work more versatility with his game than just a hook, because they're not going to just let him grip what he wants. You start getting to that elite level, we start making the odds a little more even. There's ways to get out of that hand, and he would definitely find it. Myself, I could do it too, I believe, if the situation was different. So if he works on different angles of the game, he's got the power, he's got the hand. And he doesn't have to change much, just add a couple more tools to it.
Yeah, awesome. Alrighty, so that was the super matches. The main draw, you cleaned up the right hand, you dominated that, looked very, very dominant on the day. And left hand, I think it was second to Brett?
Second to Brett.
Yeah,
awesome. I didn't even mess with Brett.
Yeah.
The first time I pulled that going to the left side, that'll be the shorter story.
Yeah.
Brett, the first one, I told him I was going to hit initially, and if I felt anything, I was just because he had too much. I wanted to save it for the, hopefully come out of there with a second.
Yeah.
And the last one, same deal. He had a fresher arm. Mine was toast. As a matter of fact, I think while I was waiting to get the awards for that left, my radial nerve down my left arm was hurting so bad I thought I was going to pass out.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I was crying. I was crying little baby on the side. My left's messed up right now, so I got to get that taken care of.
All good. Ron, let's talk about you in the sport. You're obviously one of the stalwarts of arm wrestling. Is it 36 years you've been pulling now?
38.
38
years this coming November.
Wow. That's it. Can you tell me about the story of Ron Bath, how you found arm wrestling and got into the sport?
Basically, like all kids, you arm wrestle here and there. We did do it throughout our high school years. And the fall after I graduated high school, there was a local tournament. So I went to that and won that. And then for over the next 5 years, I was living in Wisconsin, which is a northern state of the U.S., north and central, up near the Great Lakes. Small country town. So I went to Chicago and saw a couple of the big boys, but at that time it never really even focused between, around that 18, 19, 20-year age, that this was an organized sport.
Yep.
At the first time I went to Chicago, I saw a guy by the name of Johnny Walker, who I'd seen when I was 14 on Wide World of Sports. So it sort of correlated then. But at that point, I still didn't know there was Nationals, Worlds, or anything. 1985, moved to Atlanta, Georgia, without realizing I was in the backyard of some of the world's best, which was Burt Whitfield, who became my mentor, coach, and probably forgot more about arm wrestling than he was able to teach me. The guy knew it, basically everything that was out there as far as I'm concerned. It was in the backyard of Johnny Walker and Dave Randall. So I couldn't ask for better workout partners to teach me how to come along. Then I learned about the national world level. I believe it was, I moved to Georgia in 1985, and I think I won my first nationals in 1988. And outside a little stumbling block in 99, tearing a bicep. That's just always been fun and kicking ass.
Yeah, and you've won 3 world titles in London under the WAF setup. Tell me about those. Were they one of the highlights of your career so far?
It would have been more highlight if I would have thought and worked a little harder and got the 4th one.
Yep.
Because actually my right's supposed to be my money arm. Well, we pulled the Masters, which was over 40 the first days, and I won both those, right and left. Then they did the left arm open, or seniors, whatever it's referred to, and I took a loss in that, came back and won that. And then it was day 3, I think we had a day break in there, and it was a right hand. And it gets taxing and wearing, and I pulled my first match of that day was against Taurus. And me and Taurus had a battle at the Nemiroff Cup a while back ago, and we knew each other, but he didn't move me at all. We slipped right off the top on that one, went into the straps, and basically I just stopped him and pulled him right over to the pad. So basically it looked like first place was going to be all mine. He had to go through the loser's bracket from the get-go. I was on top. Before I knew it, guys were starting to get my hand, and I should have just let the hand go and stayed with the arm, because the hand was toast. The arm felt good, but I'm old school. We didn't believe in slipping. We fought like a dog, and I ended up, I believe, 5th place on the right, and Tars came back and won the right. So I think I was the better arm wrestler, but I think fatigue of those days and that's why sometimes it's not just a matter of how good you are at arm wrestling. When you put yourself in those situations, you got to have all your endurance, and you better be watching your diet and your rest and everything else. And if you've been to a Worlds, those days go on forever. You start early in the morning and you're not done till late at night. So.
Yeah. I'd love to hear about longevity in the way that you train, because obviously 38 years, you've been one that's been at the elite level for a long time. And how have you stayed at that such a level? You said you had one injury in the 90s, but what have you done? What has been your style of training and approach to the sport that's kept that?
I don't think there's really any specific style or approach. One, I gotta give it probably to genetics. My dad was just always in amazing shape, and all he did was construction. And when he got older, he would just lightly work off. But other than that, my dad never lifted weights until maybe he hit his 60s and quit the construction field. So genetics had one. Two, the sport has ups and downs when you have family and, that long of, you take some breaks here and there. It's knowing your body. If you start hurting too bad, you got to back off a little bit. You got to heal. But also, my whole life was involved in physical. As a child, it was physical, with living on a farm, doing construction with my dad. My life was always in construction. So my arms were always used to the wear and tears of physical exertion. And, being fortunate enough to stay healthy. Outside of 99 tearing a bicep, I've had a few other little muscle pulls, but that was the only setback. And when I tore the bicep, they repaired it, but they damaged the nerve to my hand. So for several months after, my hand was it wouldn't move. It just sort of was a limp wrist. And they went back in, they fixed the nerve within a couple of weeks. I knew they fixed it because you could start moving my hand. And from the day of that injury, 13 months later, I told the wife I was going to try one more time just to get back on the horse and just so I could do it. One tournament, that was going to be it. Well, I got one tournament, won that, and since then I've won Worlds, beat Brazil. I got back on track right after that.
Yeah, that's gold. Well, let's talk about John Brzenk, and you're one of the few people on the planet that has beaten John during John's prime, and that as well. I think you did quite well. So, what was it like pursuing and aiming for John as an arm wrestler?
I think you're in the sport for the wrong. You can be in the sport for several reasons. One is just because you enjoy the sport, you like the camaraderie, and you're just going to see what you can do. You always should just only go for the goals that you have, but you're always also striving to be the best that you can be. John was the best, so I knew taking a first would always be harder if John was in my way. And you always got to train for that goal of trying to be up at that level. But I also had Johnny Walker I had to look at too, who was John Brzenk's arch rival while John was coming along too. But to beat John the first time was a gift, because John's won. I think John got to his greatness because he was never afraid to take you to your strengths. So John knew he beat me at that Nationals in Atlanta. And the second match, he let me get into a deep hook, and he found out that wasn't the best place to be. And when you get somebody, and you can see that you have an opportunity, it's like your adrenaline gets pumped up. Well, and I was digging deep. I happened to be watching that video probably about 3 months ago. I had to laugh, but but John also knows when he's in trouble, if he has another way to come back, he'll let it. And after allowing me in that hook for so long, I got to win. And even though John beat me and took the tournament, it showed me that John wasn't invincible. That there was some ways to beat him. You just had to get there. So, but yeah, we've had some battles. John's got definitely way more wins on me than me on him, but I got enough to know that I was at that level to pull with him.
And in recent years, you've had a few kind of rivalries. Obviously, in the WAL, you pulled Devin and Matt Mask. I guess those two guys both presenting different challenges for you. Let's talk about Devin. How have you approached Devin? You came incredibly close to knocking Devin off last year, and on I think both left and right. And I think you were, in my eyes, you were the favourite almost in a lot of people's eyes to beat Devin that year, but he just got you. What's the rivalry been like with Devin?
Devin, you got to beat. You can't let him get his lock in. You got to beat him short in a very short time frame, because once Devin stops you and you see him shift his body and lock his elbow in, you're probably not going to do anything. And there again, when he gets that, your intelligence is telling you give it up and go wait for the next one. But pride and for TV, you want to keep fighting.
Yes.
And you might get that one more. John showed me how to beat Devin when you watched John a couple of years ago. I couldn't do it, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to top him over, jump back up on it, but I'm just not as fast as John, and my body don't work the same. So once I get over there, I got to stay there and let pride. And Devin knows it, and Devin knows I'm going to sit and fight like a dog, and he loves it. He's drooling the whole time I'm fighting on him, because he knows my gas tank is running low. There's been a few times I think I should have got the wins on Devin, because I think the rest should have made some calls.
Yep.
But we ain't going there. Devin just has an amazing lot. He's an amazing defensive arm wrestler, and he just loves to bleed his opponents.
Yeah.
And he does it very well.
Yeah, he does. What are you weighing at the moment, Ron?
About 235, as you guys would say, probably about 110 kilos.
Yep. And is that the? I know that you competed at 220 for WAL. Moving forward, where do you feel you're best? Do you like dehydrating down to a weight, or do you like to stay strong ideally?
No, I like to stay strong. Anybody does, but with age and stuff, if I was probably in my 30s, I probably would have tried putting weight on and pulling the supers. But when you're in your 50s, 56 now, going down and pulling the lighter mass on your arms, because when I got my last injury and tweaked, the doctor just said he worried about me pulling the bigger guys, so pulling the likes of Dave Chafee, Ryan Espy, Travis Bate, that just doesn't, Michael Todd doesn't thrill me to watch them take my arm and rip it off and take it home with them. And 225 is not hard for me. If I watch what I eat, I'll be down in the 230 area. And then dehydrating 5 pounds ain't bad. And again, if it ever went down below 225 pounds, I probably wouldn't do it. Then I'll have the decision to make if I would go and pull up, which depending who I would get. There are some super heavyweights I would pull more for fun, like I did this weekend.
Yep.
But at my age, I'm looking more for longevity and staying healthy.
I've seen a footage of you pinning Richard Lupke's. I think it was 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously Richard's a giant of a man, and I know previously I've heard him described by Devin as the strongest out of all the arm wrestlers that Devin's encountered. How did you go about beating Richard Lupke's?
I had a couple of breaks on that day. Richard, number one, had a bad back. All right, and Richard is the strongest arm wrestler out there, especially if you're thinking of going east to west.
Yeah.
You're not going to take Richard sideways, because he'll just look at you and pull you the other way. I don't care who you are. I'd love to see somebody take Richard Lupke's and just full hand straight to the pad. I really don't think you're going to do it. You got to put some back pressure on Richard, try to separate him from his bicep and work his way down. Along with that, it was like 110 degrees, so I guess that'd be about 40 here in Australia. So it was taxing on me. The heat was taxing on me, so I know with his size, his bad back, I got a couple of breaks on that day, but it's still, to beat somebody like Richard Lupke is definitely, one you keep on your list, but I have respect for all the other issues. And it was so hot I couldn't even remember his name at the end. I had to apologize because my brain, it was so hot I went brain dead on that one. It was a good opportunity.
Yeah. Ron, over the 38 years, has there been obviously you've done a lot in that 38 years. Has there been a favourite moment for yourself?
Wow. That would have had to been a question you had to ask me a long time ago. I mean, there's so many favorite moments. It depends on the year. My first win on Johnny Walker, my first win on John Brzezinski, winning my first big tournament on ESPN, which was involved beating John. Doing stuff with the WAL. Just meeting the great people. Now, coming down here to Australia, spending 13 days of, I ain't gonna call it abuse, but I mean it's fun. It's one of those things. This trip to Australia would be one of those things, even though it's taxing on the body a little bit. It's fun. You meet great people, see a great country, and do a lot of arm wrestling. You know, my arm would be aching for weeks, but you know, it'll be the thought of how I got it. It'll be because of having a great experience.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things in 38 years of arm wrestling that I could attribute to that question. It wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, I understand. That sounds awesome. And I mean, where to from here? You after 38 years, 56 years old, you're still competitive at the elite level. Do you intend on staying at the elite level, or are you seeing yourself as one of those Norm Devio kind of pullers that no one can pin later on as well, or where do you want to be?
I don't know if I have a choice on the elite level because I've never really trained overly hard just to stay at that level. So I'll train because I got a good group. My 30-year-old son arm wrestles or got into it more, so I'll stay involved and train because of that. If opportunities come for different things, I like good health. I like good physical health, so I'll always stay in physical health as soon as I get my back and shoulders squared away here, which I have a massage this afternoon, thanks to Tom.
Yep.
So I'll always be involved. I don't see that ending anytime shortly. I'll probably, because it, unless I get something with the WAL here, because I heard of their announcement. If I do something with that, I would train harder. If somebody I got a super match coming up May 5th with Mike Aiello. And if Mike Aiello's listening to this, I got like 6 weeks to rest up, so don't fret it, Mike. I'll be ready.
Go.
And I'm working on my abs too, big guy.
Your tan's not bad.
If I stayed here a couple more weeks, I could possibly I'd have to take the shirt off though.
Yeah.
Because when I take the shirt off, it's not going to look anything close to Mike. It's going to have these big farmer tan marks right here. Yeah, that honestly is going to be a good competition, but I think it's going to be fun at the same time because Mike's just, he's a kickback, have a good time kind of guy. But I think he's making light of him not beating me, but I think he's going to come at me.
Yeah, well, he's looking like he's in pretty good form at the moment.
Shit,
too.
he's always in pretty good form.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, Ron, thank you so much for stopping in today, and
my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a thrill to have you here in Australia, watch you compete and all that sort of stuff as well. So.
Oh yeah. Well, before I go, I just I got to give a shout out to Ryan Scott, White Knuckles Promotion. Hopefully, I don't forget too many. I got to give to Marcel and Oz for putting up with us while we stayed in Sydney.
Yep.
For Andrew Lee and Phil Rasmussen for putting up with me in Melbourne. Ryan Scott for doing some in Melbourne with me, but then Ryan Scott getting me out there to Perth and to Bunbury. Yeah,
we saw you rolling the hay.
We seeing some roos and rolling some hay, and then coming here and Tom. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. And Tom and his wife for putting up with us here, and you for the opportunity to do this podcast. Anybody get the opportunity to come to Australia? I will say Australian arm wrestlers, they have a couple that are already getting close to that world level. But from what I've seen with the young guns I saw over the last couple of sessions, you all aren't far from having a lot of them that are heading to that world class level.
Awesome.
So, and the hunger was there. I saw 20-year-old guys, 30-year-old guys they're ready.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good luck to y'all.
Ron, we have to get you on the table now. At the end of the podcast, every guest I get in here, I have an arm wrestler with. Most of them I toy with because they're not arm wrestlers. But you're the first time I've had someone in, so we'll have to do a bit of an arm wrestling before the podcast goes. But anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in today. Awesome. If you could hit the like and the share button on this one. Cheers, guys.
My ass is cooked. If the man beats me, he's...
That wrist. I got you, Ron.
No, you don't. Not yet, anyhow. Breathe. Oh, his wrist is gone. His wrist is gone. His wrist is gone.
I've closed that door. It's coming, Ron. Oh shit. Hey, thank you to Ben, Carol, Ryan, Scott, all the boys in WA.
All you guys in Brisbane tonight, no problem. He just toasted me.